This young lady's co-worker put a hex on her. So I had to confront someone who was doing witchcraft on me.
So while I'm sitting here taking my little breakfast break, I thought I'd tell y'all the story time about how the girl, really my co-worker, had hexed me.
Y'all better stop fucking with people and y'all don't know what they carrying on them and what they got planned for you. Because some people will ruin your life and you won't even see it coming. Most people think like a hex is just a bad day, or they think it's just like a flat tire or a lost job with some bad luck. But that's where you go wrong. Because when I reach into my pocket and I feel that goofer's dust, that dust of destruction, that graveyard soil mixed.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Huh? Yes.
Look at you.
Do something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me always. Money coming in all day. Money coming in all paid. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me.
This young lady's co-worker put a hex on her. So now before we get into the story, I just want to premise this video by saying that a lot of people don't realize that majority of people who actually put hex and curse on people is usually your co-worker. That is the reason why, I don't recommend you, stepping on the toes of your co-worker unless, of course, they're doing something to get you to lose your job, which then you can talk to someone, because this is people's livelihood, right? I know so many people who hex and jinx have been put on them for them to lose their job, for them to, get in trouble for this and for that, because people take their job seriously. So in jobs is when you're going to find people putting curses and hex on people the most. In relationships, because maybe a side chick has taken your husband and you did something against the side chick, right? And also another thing is in the churches. So let's get into the story because it's crazy.
So while I'm sitting here taking my little breakfast break, I thought I'd tell y'all the story time about how the girl, really my co-worker, had hexed me. So a little bit of the backstory. I was working at a dispensary and she was working up there with me. I'm not going to say her name for privacy purposes. I'm going to say her name was Brianna. So Brianna was working up there with me. I had a friend named Allie. And we were the only black people up there. Everybody else was white, but they was cool though. So with all three of us being the only black people there, we just kind of coagulated. You know how we do when there's only a couple black people up there. We all was cool. Me and Allie was working there first. And then Brianna came like 5 months later. So me and Allie was already really close. Now, mind you, Allie's not a spiritual person. She's a Christian. I'm a spiritual person, and I knew I was a spiritual person, but I hadn't went through my awakening yet. Brianna was already into spirituality when she got there. Now, when Brianna got there, I had already had my shroom experience and was starting to awaken, but I wasn't fully awakened yet. So when she got there, she was kind of like, she was super nice, she was super cool. I didn't sense no bad vibes just yet. So me and her got really cool, and she did massages. I did hair on the side. So we decided to do service for service. So one day we set it up and I Ubered over to her house. She was going to do the massage that day. I was going to do her braids a different day. When I was in the Uber on my way there, my stomach was in knots. That's not a normal thing for me. So I wasn't sure what was going on. I wasn't in tune with myself at the moment, so I ignored the feeling. But I'm glad I wrapped my head. I wrapped a white turban around my head, which is for protection. Key detail, I missed a step. So me and her were talking about spirituality while we were at work. And she said something under her breath about regretting making a deal with a deity. And when I said, what do you mean? She said, as you dive into spirituality, you'll find out yourself. I said, okay. That's 2 red flags so far. I know, I wasn't paying attention. So she opens the door, I get into her house, and we go into her massage room. And the vibes are cool. Like, my stomach is still kind of knotted, but I'm not sure why. So she senses that I'm nervous and she tells me to just lay on the table on my back and meditate. So after about like 10 to 15 minutes of me meditating, and while I'm meditating, I'm calming down, but something in my spirit is still uneasy. And instead of getting up to take my ass home, I laid there and waited for her to come back and give me the damn massage. So she comes back in and she starts a playlist. This playlist is Orisha music. Now, me and her had talked about Orishas, and I had talked about how I felt like my Orishas were Yemaya and Oshun, but I wasn't sure yet because they hadn't called to me yet. And with Orishas, you have to wait for them to call you. You cannot call them. Why she start off with Yemaya? Oh, let me add in another detail. She was a lesbian, and her girlfriend's relationship wasn't really working out at the moment. And I knew she had a crush on me, but she wasn't my type. So back to the story. The massage is going pretty good. We get about halfway through, maybe towards the end, and Oshun comes on. The Oshun Orisha song. In my head, I'm like, this feels weird that she's playing the Orishas that I'm saying I feel like are mine. But what really threw me is specifically while the Oshun song was playing, she placed crystals on my back and she didn't tell me which ones. And I felt her put her hands on my back and she was saying something under her breath. When she got done saying what she was saying, she blew on my back and I felt chills down my body. My eyes popped open and I knew something was wrong immediately. So I laid there on the table. She walked out the room. She was done with the massage. She said, when you're done, you can come in the living room and we can smoke. I said, okay, cool. I walk in the living room and the living room energy is dark. Like the lighting is dark and everything just feels kind of dark. Come back for part 2 and I'll tell y'all about the smoke session in the living room. That's a key part of this story. Part 2 of how my coworker put a hex on me. So when we left off, we got done with the massage and she invited me into the living room for a smoke session. When I came into the living room, because it took me a minute to gather myself, because I'm sitting on the massage table and I'm like, why do I feel so weird after that massage? I felt cold, like my body felt cold. And I felt kind of foggy, like a little bit disoriented in the head. But my ditzy dumb green cells still went out there and smoked with this lady. Now, before I get into the story time, weed is a conduit. When you smoke weed, you open up your third eye and you open up your crown. When you do that, you allow energies to enter into your energy and your energy enters into theirs. And when you're sharing a blunt, it's even stronger. So we were rolling up separately, but we were going to smoke together. Let me set up the scene. So there's a round table in her dining room, which is off of her living room. When you walk through her living room, you come into her dining room right here. This is where we are in the dining room at the circular table. I'm sitting on one side of the table, and then she's on this side. There's nobody in front of me, and there's nobody to my left. The energy in that room is dark. The blinds are open, and it's still dark in that room. It made no sense for it to be that dark. It's midday. It's sunny outside. Why is it dark in this room like this? She put on some show for background noise, and I don't remember what the show was because we were barely watching the show. And we started just talking as we rolling up, talking about normal stuff that we would normally be talking about. Nothing was weird yet, conversation-wise. Now, I still felt weird, but nothing was weird conversation-wise yet. So we spark up. And, once you start smoking and once you get, like, halfway through the blunt, that's when conversations start happening. High conversations start happening. And we were talking about spirituality, and she was talking about how her awakening happened, and I was talking about how I'm awakening at the moment. My body's starting to ease some, And I think it was because of the weed. Not because everything was okay. It was because the weed calmed my anxiety down. But something still ain't feel right. And as we're talking, as the conversation is going, she mentions about her relationship with her girlfriend. And I was like, well, why don't y'all just break up? Because she had cheated on her. And I was like, she cheating on you. She's acting like she didn't. And you're pretending that you don't know. What's the purpose? Because I'm the type that's just going to leave somebody if I know that they cheating on me and I got proof. I'm going to leave. She was like, nah, one, I kind of want to get my get back, but at the same time, I do just want to leave. And on top of that, the girlfriend was paying the bills, majority of the bills. So she couldn't just up and leave if she wanted to. So that would put somebody in a desperate energy. So as the conversation keeps going, I'm talking about my situation, love-wise, and I was single at the moment. Me and the dude that I was previously with, we were just friends. And then, randomly, this cat jumps up in my lap. And this cat has green eyes, and it's just looking at me. And I'm looking at it. So I start petting and rubbing the cat. I'm like, oh, but maybe she just wants some love, This is the girlfriend's cat, mind you. This is not her cat. This is not Brianna's cat. Brianna doesn't like cats. She doesn't like this cat that's sitting on me. All of a sudden, there was a shift in the room, and it felt like we were center stage, and I was sitting at the devil's table. That's the best way that I can explain this feeling that I felt while sitting at this table. And then she says, I want to leave her, but if I were to go with somebody else, I would want for that person to be a creative person. I would want them to have aspirations. I would want them to be spiritually gifted and be in alignment with me. And what I would want to do is mold them and turn them into what I would like them to be. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at her, and in my head, I'm like, she talking about me. And I was so high, and it felt like I was under a truth spell or something. I said what I was thinking out loud. I said, she talking about me out loud. And she looked at me, and I looked at her. And then I look down, and this cat is looking up at me, and it's like this cat is communicating with me. This cat want me to get the hell on. The cat not being mean or nothing, but the cat is just like looking up and staring me in my eyes. Like, girl, get the fuck out of here. So, like 5 minutes after that, because I had to kind of play it off like I didn't hear what the fuck I just heard. I skipped over that, glazed over that, but I heard it. And I took note. I looked at the time. I was like, well, it's about 3:30, so I'm going to go ahead and go. And she was like, okay, well, I'll see you on Monday. And I was like, see you on Monday. I left up out of there, and I felt so weird. Like, my body felt good because I just got a massage, but my body felt cold. My brain felt foggy. I felt like I was in a trance while I was in her house. Like I said, I literally felt like I was under a truth spell. I could not control what was coming out of my mouth during the conversation. And I was trying to hold information about myself to myself, and it felt like I couldn't. And I think that's what she did when she blew on my back. She probably said something under her breath about